Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is episode 10 of the Coastal Landscapes and Change series over here on my channel. Today we're going to be looking at managing coastal erosion and flooding. So if this is your first time here, hey, I'm Lara. I am a degree level geography student and this is exactly what I wanted during my A-levels, and so I'm making it for you guys. There's a whole playlist, I'll link it up here, or you can find it somewhere on my channel if I forget. And yeah, I'm going through the whole A-level geography specification. So I hope you enjoy. Let's just get straight on into it. Can coastal erosion be stopped? Coastal erosion can be prevented up to a point, but it's an expensive business. The cost of protecting a coast is often controversial. Many people, such as along the Holderness coast, want their stretches of coast protected, but they don't necessarily see why their taxes should be used to pay to protect someone else's coastline. Until the 1990s, it was unusual for local councils to tackle coastal erosion by designing hard engineering structures. However, most of those structures are very expensive to build, but now the use of soft engineering techniques is now a more popular method. But what are the advantages and disadvantages of these methods? Groynes. These are timber or rock structures built at right angles to the coast. They trap sediment that is being moved along the beach due to longshore drift. What are their advantages? The build-up beach increases tourist potential and protects the land behind it. Groynes work with natural processes to build up the beach and it's not too expensive. However, they do starve the beach further downstream or further down the coast of fresh sediment because they interrupt longshore drift, which often leads to erosion elsewhere. Groynes are very unnatural and rock groynes can be very unattractive. Seawalls. These are made of stone or concrete at the foot of a cliff or at the top of a beach. They usually have a curved face to reflect back the waves to the sea. They're effective at preventing erosion and they often have a promenade for people to walk along. However, they reflect wave energy rather than absorbing it. They can be intrusive and very unnatural looking, and they're fairly expensive to build and maintain. Riprap or rock armour are large rocks placed at the foot of a cliff or again at the top of a beach. It forms a permeable barrier to the sea, breaking up the waves but allowing some water to pass through. They are relatively cheap and easy to construct and maintain. It's often used for fishing from or by sunbathing tourists. The rocks are usually from somewhere else, such as granite, so they don't fit in with the local geology and can look out of place. They also can be very intrusive, and the rocks can be dangerous for people climbing on them. Revetments. These are wooden sloping, concrete or rock structures, placed at the foot of a cliff or at the top of a beach. They often break up the waves' energy. They are relatively, again, inexpensive to build, and they're often intrusive looking and unnatural looking, and they need high levels of maintenance. Offshore breakwaters. These are a partly submerged rock barrier designed to break up the waves before they reach the coast. These are a very effective permeable barrier, but they're usually visually unappealing, and it's a potential navigation hazard for boats. Hard engineering and Holderness. The Holderness coast is 85 kilometres long. Only 9.2 kilometres are protected by hard engineering structures, maintained by the East Riding of Yorkshire Council. An additional 2.15 kilometres are protected by other bodies, and the rest of the coastline is unprotected. Most of the defences on the Holderness coast consist of a mixture of 19th century structures, together with more recent upgrades, extensions and alterations. Hard engineering, the impacts. Decisions taken by councils and coastal authorities to use hard engineering methods to protect particular places on the coast can lead to problems elsewhere. Look with me at the Holderness coast. Hornsea, there are defences of seawalls, groynes and rock armour. The impact. The groynes trap sediment and maintain the beach at Hornsea, but Mapleton, downdrift, has been starved of sediment as a result. There, rapid wave attack has eroded the cliffs, so that by the 1990s nearly 4 metres of cliff were being eroded each year. Mapleton. There are 2 rock groynes that were built in 1991, with the aim of preventing the removal of the beach by longshore drift. Rock armour was also used. The impact. At Cowden, 3 kilometres south of Mapleton, the resultant sediment starvation has increased erosion of cliffs from 2.5 to 3.8 metres a year between 1991 and 2007. Withensea, even further down the coast. There, the defences are a straight seawall that was built in 1875. However, over time, waves have eroded the base of the wall, causing it to collapse. So, in the 1990s, the straight wall was replaced by a curved wall at a cost of £6.3 million. The impact. The waves are now noisier when they break against the wall, and the promenade is smaller. The views from the seafront hotels have also been restricted. Some tourists find the riprap, the rock armour at the base of the seawall, very unattractive. Soft engineering techniques. A range of soft engineering techniques attempt to work with natural processes to protect coasts. They can also be used to manage changes in sea level by allowing lower coastal areas to flood, such as creating marshes. The methods. Beach nourishment. This is the addition of sand or pebbles to an existing beach to make it higher or wider. The sediment is usually dredged from the nearby seabed. This is relatively cheap and easy to maintain. It looks natural and blends in with the existing beach, and it increases tourist potential by creating a bigger beach. However, it also needs constant maintenance because of the natural processes of erosion and longshore drift. Cliff regrading and drainage. Cliff regrading reduces the angle of the cliff, helping to stabilise it. Drainage removes water to prevent landslide and slumping. Regrading can work on clay or loose rock where other methods won't work, and drainage is cost effective. Regrading effectively causes the cliff to retreat, and drained cliffs can dry out and lead to collapse, such as rock falls. Dune stabilisation. Marram grass can be planted to stabilise dunes. Areas can be fenced to keep people off the newly planted dunes. This maintains the coastal environment, protects important wildlife habitat, and is relatively cheap and sustainable. It was also time consuming to plant the marram grass, and people may respond negatively to being kept off certain areas. Marsh creation. This is a form of managed retreat by allowing low-lying coastal areas to become flooded by the sea. The land then becomes a salt marsh. It is relatively cheap because it often involves land reverting to its original state before it was managed for agriculture. It creates a natural defence, providing a buffer to powerful waves, and it creates an important wildlife habitat. Agricultural land is lost, however, and farmers or landowners do need to be compensated for this. Managing future threats. Adaptation number 1. Khulna is a river port in southwest Bangladesh and is constantly at risk from flooding. Despite being 125 kilometres inland from the Indian Ocean, parts of the city are flooded at least 10 times a year. Cyclone Aliyah swept inland in 2009, sending a tidal surge up the Pursa estuary. Rising sea levels as a result of climate change are leaving places such as Khulna at risk from storm surges. However, high tides in Khulna and along the estuaries of the southwest Bangladesh are rising 6 times faster than the sea levels in the open ocean. This is due to the destruction of mangrove forests in the Sundarbans are partly to blame. But it is also thought that the embankments built to protect people from rising tides are making the problem worse. By constricting and funneling tidal flows, pushing water further inland and increasing the tidal range. In the past 50 years, Bangladesh has built 4,000 kilometres of coastal embankments. About 30 million people live on the polders, land enclosed by embankments, or planned polders. In 2014, Bangladesh was planning to upgrade 600 kilometres of embankments in the Sundarbans Delta region, using $400 million from the World Bank. In 2014, the New Scientist reported that John Petherick, a British geomorphologist, said that Bangladesh's upgraded embankments will put millions of lives at risk. He argued that flood defences in the Sundarbans Delta are doing more harm than good. He suggested some polders should be abandoned and that the embankment should be positioned further back into the estuaries to reduce the funneling effect. But this argument is controversial. Local people don't want to give up land due to rising tides, despite warnings that global rise in sea level could result in a 2.5 metre rise in high tides by the end of the century. The Bangladeshi government and the World Bank seem intent on going ahead and upgrading the embankments. Adaptation 2. Embankments may not provide the most sustainable solution to managing future threats, but there are other ways. Down the coast from Khulna, India's Mahanadi Delta in the state of Oshida, people are trying a different approach. The Mahanadi Delta is also prone to cyclone disasters, and again the loss of mangroves is part of the story. 50 years ago, coastal villages in Oshida had an average width of 5.1 kilometres of mangroves protecting them. Today, that figure is an average of 1.2 kilometres. In 1999, during Super Cyclone Catalina, villages still had 4 or more kilometres of mangroves and recorded no deaths. However, in areas where the protective belt was less than 3 kilometres wide, death rates rose sharply. The NGO Wetlands International, the Indian government and Oshida's integrated coastal zone management project, wow, it's a long title, are trying to reverse decades of mangrove destruction. They are helping villagers to plant mangroves along the coasts and also along the banks of all tidal rivers along Oshida's coast. And that is the end of episode 10. It was quite a heavy one, there was quite a lot of information there, but I hope you learned something, I hope you took something from it. I'm sliding down my sofa, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. The last one of this series is going to be up same time next Monday, 4:30 p.m. We're going to be looking at how to manage the coast in a holistic way. So subscribe down below to see that, and I will see you next week. Bye guys.